I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. Everything I do so instinctive.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, degenerate sleuths of the night. We gather to boldly go where others have refused. Welcome to the DT show, you salty mofos.
A man accused of killing 4 college students is behind bars, and he has ties to northeastern and central Pennsylvania. State police say 28-year-old Brian Koberger was arrested this morning at a home in Chestnut Hill Township.
I can't find any case law that would support that idea. That somehow a warrant would be needed for DNA left at a crime scene.
We are expecting to learn more about the allegations against the girlfriend of a Boston police officer who was found unresponsive in the snow Saturday morning. I-Team sources say Karen Reed was in a relationship with John O'Keefe. She's facing charges including motor vehicle homicide and manslaughter.
So, the Commonwealth just provided the court with information that causes me grave concern. The implications of that information may have profound effects on this defense and defense counsel.
So, get your popcorn ready and your choice of drink. Get your butt on your seat. Like, comment, and subscribe for a treat. Here we go. It's time for the show. The Drunk Turkey Show.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the DT Show. I'm Daniel, and today we're getting back into the Nancy Guthrie disappearance, her abduction. You know, there's been a whole lot of nothing going on, you know, just a lot of speculation, and then a whole lot of something dropped off just in the last 24 hours. So please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, ring that notification bell. There's so much information that's going down that's kind of clearing up the picture, at least for me, as what we might be dealing with. You know, I've been talking back scenes with Steve from True Crime Web. He's a former CSI investigator, and we've been having a lot of conversation about this case. And a lot of the stuff that we've been talking about, it sure does seem to be coming to fruition. Tomorrow I'm going to have him on the show, guys. He's going to be joining us. We're going to be talking about all the forensics in this case, and then just kind of, you know, go back and forth on this case. So you don't want to miss it. That's going to be tomorrow. Tonight, though, the special guest, FloJo TV, is going to be joining us. We're going to be talking about the Guthrie case. We're going to be talking about all the new revelations, including she had a stalker, guys. This guy, you know, when we talked about this before, you know, I think it was me and Dr. Bona, I mentioned that I felt that this was an escalation, that he had done something similar to this before. I didn't realize he'd actually been to that house before. Well, I thought he had. I thought he'd cased it. But I had no idea that he'd been to the house at night. In the same getup. So we're going to break it down. We're going to look at all that. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, ring that notification bell. Without further ado, let's bring in today's guest, FloJo TV. Joe, how are you doing, my man?
I'm doing good. How you doing, Dan? Thank you for having me.
I'm doing better. It's been a rough couple of weeks after my accident, but I'm doing better.
I hope you get better soon, man.
Thank you. And is it my mic that's low, guys? Let me see. Let me adjust some things. And what about now? Can you guys hear me better? Do I sound better?
Sounds good.
All right, sounds good. Sorry about that, everybody. I was having some audio issues yesterday. Long story short, I'm hoping my computer don't go out on me no more. I did this whole thing on it, and so we'll see. It hasn't turned off on me yet. All right. Well, let's start it off today. Joe, tell everybody a little bit about yourself and your channel.
Yeah, so I mean, I've just literally started streaming, I want to say maybe about 2-3 months ago. Really got invested in the Celeste Rivas Hernandez case, and I've been covering a lot a lot of content on that, and I've just kind of stumbled upon the true crime niche and have met a lot of great people here, and I just kind of been doing it ever since. So thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And when we're going to talk about the Celeste Rivas case probably a little bit later on this week, I'm going to have you back on.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
but in the Nancy Guthrie case, you know, what was your first initial thoughts? She goes missing. She's vanished. The first couple of days, nobody knows anything about what's going on, and then TMZ, it's a ransom. You've been following it. Did you believe this was a kidnapping for ransom from the get go? Where are you on this case?
I will have to say that the moment that I heard that there was a ransom note, I had to believe it. We hadn't heard about a ransom note since what, the JonBenet Ramsey case probably is one of the last higher profile cases, and everything that just kind of happened since then, it's kind of changed my mind. So, but initially, I did think that the ransom note was real, and they were looking for a large amount of money, but now I'm not sure if I really feel that way.
Yeah. I brought this up right away when this happened, and we saw the video. When the video, the guy coming up, he has a backpack on. It's full of stuff. I didn't like. Just the whole appearance of it. It screamed something more nefarious to me. I thought this was potentially, maybe perhaps somebody who was obsessed with her daughter Savannah, and maybe was acting out some sort of fantasy against her mother. I felt that may have been the situation from the get-go. I brought it up a little bit. I said, there could be a sexual motivation to it. I think I brought it up a couple of episodes ago. I said, I don't want to talk about it that way because, I don't know, but there are some weird people and some sick people that do sick and weird things. And the more this goes on, and we find out that this guy had been there before, I kind of am leaning more towards that as well, that this was a stalker. This was a guy who had been watching them for a while and are watching her for a while and had some other motivations here. Now, when it comes to the ransom stuff, I really didn't buy it to begin with because, one, it was the media that was contacted, and it wasn't the family, and they never really. To me, I don't think they gave up any information that wasn't already out there. They talked about cameras and things of that nature, but we had already known that the cameras were either smashed or taken down. Law enforcement had said that, it wasn't them that took them, and we saw pictures of them not being there. So obviously that was the perpetrator that did that. To me, I just kind of felt like that was somebody trying to take advantage of the situation. Now, we find out, and let me pull up this article real quick. I'm going to read through it, and then we'll get our thoughts on it. So let me share the screen real quick. And this is from ABC News. Mass suspect in Nancy Guthrie abduction appeared to visit her house hours before, her house before the kidnapping, per sources. Masked man who is suspected to be suspected of the abduction of Nancy Guthrie appears to have been at her front door earlier than February 1st. The night police believe that she was kidnapped. And here's the photo. Apparently, and I noticed it in the video when he was walking around that the moon was out and there was a shadow and things of that nature. I honestly hadn't seen this picture with dealing with my back and stuff, but this is definitely a different night. What do you think?
I absolutely think it was a different night. And when those photos originally came out, what I did was I tried to do some reverse coloring on there, just reverse infrared imaging on there. And when the photos came back with color, they were, they would just look completely different nights. The one, actually, the first photo that you just showed, that one right there, it really looked like he didn't have any holes through his ski mask. And so, it didn't make any sense. And then when the other photos came back with, they were a lot clearer with color, there was no doubt in my mind that they were two separate nights.
Yeah, he doesn't have a backpack here. Doesn't have a gun in the front end either. His pants look different. One of the things that I had noticed when he was walking is that he stepped 1 foot in front of the other And here it almost looks like a bow-leggedness to his legs. It's interesting.
I don't know if you've seen one of the other videos, but there's also there's a longer video. Somehow TMZ posted a longer video of this. It was like 52 seconds, and the FBI had put out a 26-second video. And when I originally watched the first one from TMZ, you can see this person walking up from the side, and it wasn't directly straight up the walkway. So that was also odd too. So I was wondering, what direction was he coming from?
Yeah, I noticed that as well. That's why one of the things that I had said was, I feel like he was trying to mask the direction that he was coming. Because the direction he was walking, the way he was walking towards the front door, and then he looks down, turns on the light to find the step, and I had said, I was like, this seems like he's been there before. Yeah. Now at the time, I think a lot of people were assuming that meant that he was somebody who was a regular visitor, maybe somebody that Nancy Guthrie knew, a family member, a friend of the family's, a neighbor, somebody who's familiar with the place, while being there, when they're supposed to be there. Not so much anymore. I think that if they go through there, he may have tripped at one point on that step, and that's why he shines that up.
I mean, just the whole video where he's taking the shrubs and literally building a nest on top of the Nest camera.
Yeah.
He looks really clumsy, right? Like he doesn't know what he's doing.
I agree. I'm gonna see if I can find the video that TMZ. I think I did find it. Let's see. And I'm muted. Oh boy, I don't. Let's see. I think it's. Let's see. Oh, this is the wrong guy. This ain't the right video.
I found it odd that they blurred out that guy's face.
Well, they didn't know who he was, and so I'm assuming that's why. Let's see if this is the right one. But yeah, he walks up to the area, and definitely, like I said, in my opinion, it appeared that he was aware of that. But so you think he was trying to block the camera? You don't think he was trying to take it off with the plants?
No, I don't think he was trying to take it off initially. I think he was just really trying to block, his identity from being seen. But I mean, being as clumsy as he is, he probably didn't realize that the camera was already recording the moment motion was detected.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good possibility. I think I may have found it now. I'll go through here and find it here later. But I thought that was the case as well. Now, one of the things that, and we're going to talk a little bit more, but I want to get your opinion. I'm going to talk about it tomorrow with Steve because this is his idea. But he thought that the flowers could have been a message.
A message?
Yeah. Like, you're putting flowers on the, basically by the door. A love message type of thing.
Interesting. That I hadn't even thought of it like that.
When I looked at the plant stems on the ground and they looked like they had been, like all the leaves had been ripped out, to me, I was more of a indication that he was trying to use it to move the camera. And that's one of the things that me and Steve have been going back and forth on. Because I'm like, it appears like if I'm looking at the stems of the plants that he used it for that manner, but it doesn't look like he's doing that in the camera. It looks like he's trying to just tie them around there.
You know what? I mean, that's definitely possible. The one thing that I keep wondering, though, is did he enter through the front door or did he enter through the back? And I think that's probably one of the questions that everybody wants to know, right? Where did the perp enter from?
My guesstimation is the back door.
Back door?
Or not the front door. Let me put it that way. I don't think it was the front door. Now, here's the reason why. I don't think it was the front door. One, there was some sort of motion that was detected, and they said that it could have been an animal, and it was about 15 minutes later after the doorbell camera disconnects. And so I think that's him giving up on whatever it is that he was trying to do in the front and walking around to the back.
And so, with that detailed, are we under the same assumption that he also left through the front or left through the back?
I think he left through the front. Evidence of that is the blood on the ground.
Blood, right? Yeah.
Yeah, the blood's on the ground. Now, I asked Steve too, and like I said, we're going to get into much more of the forensic aspect tomorrow. And I asked him, I was like, hey, is there any possibility that that blood could have been somehow staged there? Could something have happened and he, made it appear to have been there from some form of fashion? And he doesn't think so. And like I said, we're going to go into why tomorrow. But he said it's an interesting idea, but he doesn't think so.
That's something to...
I know. It's a crazy situation.
This whole entire case is a crazy situation. It's a mess. How do you feel about the way everything's been handled since day one?
Well, that's one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about too. So Miss Savannah Guthrie, she upped the reward money to $1 million. And she came out today, and I believe you aired it on your channel, her message, upping the ransom. Apparently, she wanted to do it at $1 million to begin with, but the sheriff said no because it's going to bring in too many false leads. What do you think about that? And then I'll tell you what my thoughts.
I mean, $1 million. I mean, we're at day 24, and if the family wanted to do this on day one, the only thing that would have helped this case would have been more leads at the beginning, right? I think that he was concerned that they were just going to be flooded with tips. So far, they've received 50,000, right? And I know that they can't ignore any lead, but I feel like if maybe this would have came a little bit sooner, people would have been more inclined to speak up. I mean, I could be wrong, right? But I feel like if the family wanted to do this, it's been reported that, the FBI won't tell them not to pay the ransom, right? The family. Yeah. And so if the family wanted to go with the $1 million early on, I think they should have just let them do it, right? Because how many times have we increased the reward? And we don't know what leads have come in since then, right? But they've raised it, 3 or 4 times already?
Yeah.
I think it started off with $2,500 from the FBI. Then it went up to, I think, 5,000, if I'm not mistaken. And then it went 50,000. Then we had 100,000. And then we had a private donation from an attorney from Milwaukee. Michael Hoopy donated $100,000 to make it 200,000. And then today you see it, skyrocket all the way to $1 million.
Yeah. I mean, if this was an abduction for ransom, here's your money, but given so many days and her health and her condition and things of that nature, I think that if this was a situation where it was kidnapping for ransom, given the fact that I still believe 100% that the person that contacted TMZ was not real. That was a scam. That was somebody trying to take advantage of the situation. However, there was a good amount of blood in the front of that house. She is 84 years old, and apparently wasn't in the best health. I think that if it was an abduction for ransom, that there's a good possibility that she did not survive, and which is why there wasn't a real ransom asked for, in my opinion. Now, the one thing I had contemplated with was that maybe perhaps that scenario did pan out in that way, that there was an abduction for ransom, and after a few days they decided to ask for the ransom anyways, even though she had succumbed to the abduction. So either way, I'm not sure we're going to see like a happy result here, but hopefully we can get some answers pretty quick. Do you think that it could have been a botched kidnapping ransom?
So like a burglary gone wrong?
No, maybe the intention was to, kidnap her and then ask for the money, but it just didn't go as planned.
Call me I'm just somebody with high hopes, and I do, hope that she returns. Obviously, we know being 84 with a pacemaker, probably has blood pressure, problems. And who knows if she has medications. So, the fact that every day that we go by and we don't have an answer, the chances of her survival just decrease tremendously. And I mean, do I feel like this is a kidnapping gone wrong? I mean, I'd hate to think that because I want to hope that she's still alive, but I mean, we're on day 24. Um, and especially after Savannah's message today, the everything that she said just didn't sound hopeful. I mean, she's still holding on to hope. But she also said that, she accepts it. She accepts if her mother's not alive. She just wants her to come back home. Right. And with that, and I don't know if you saw anything from Nancy Grace today, but, the moment that she showed that video, she opened up her segment in tears. So I don't know how hopeful I feel after today. I mean, we're a couple of days away from March, which will make it a whole month.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, I know that given I think there was a search warrant that was somewhat released. The Amazon, or not, it wasn't Amazon, but the delivery truck guy, Carlos, I think is his name. And in that search warrant, they were looking for, I think, medications for Miss Guthrie, meaning that that maybe perhaps the person that took her also took some medications to keep her going. You know what I mean? The blood situation outside makes it kind of where I'm like, okay, I think something bad happened, right? Now, if it wasn't for ransom, some people do, some sick people have taken people and just held them, and that's a possibility in this scenario here as well. Especially if they took the medication, but how much medication can she have at this point? I don't know, how much they took. I know there was some ransom demands and there was some time limits and things of that nature. They didn't really go into details about what was going to happen in those time limits, but I'm curious if it was somewhat real, if the time limit had to do with the amount of medication that they had.
That's always a possibility, right? I mean, what baffles me more is just knowing what kind of meds that she's on, right? We know that she's on blood thinners, and depending on the type of blood thinner that she was prescribed, right? Some medications, and I'll just give you an example. There's a medication called warfarin, Coumadin. We give it to patients, as a blood thinner. That medication just can't be prescribed right off of the shelf, right? You can't pick it up from a pharmacy. Most of the time you have to have labs drawn, and those lab results will determine, the dosing of that blood thinner. So if she's on a medication like that, there's no way that she's going to have a 24-day supply of medication. And if that medication is supposed to be life-saving for her, I can't help but think that she's not, she's probably in grave condition, if not gone at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Let's look at this real quick. And I know this is split up in like 3 different areas, but he's going to go into one right now. So this is him walking up. It's walking kind of weird. As I mentioned, look at it. Look, he takes a step. His gait is weird. And what I had noticed was that, fortunately, there's a line right here where he's stepping. Mm-hmm. And then you can notice where the next step is right on that line as well. Maybe it's because he's looking down, and that's exactly where he's looking. That's where he's stepping. But he's walking very much foot in front of the other.
With this shot right here, I'm curious how many steps there are onto this front porch of hers, because what it looks like in other videos that I've seen from the street view, it looks like from the walkway onto the porch, it looks like there's maybe about 1 or 2 steps, but it looks like, it doesn't even look like he's taking a step, right? Kind of looks like he's just kind of walking up.
Yeah.
So I'm curious if he's taking, one large step, skipping, a few steps, or if he's just kind of walking right over it.
Yeah. I mean, let's see. So that first step is on the first square. And then, I mean, it goes away, but he skips an entire, he's stepping pretty far out. And so let's see. And then here he's doing something with the with the camera. They're showing the gun. This is all mixed up. Let me pull up the one that I have. I think I have one. I hope I still have it saved. I believe I have it all together. The only thing is like I said, I had I moved some things around, so it's not. Yeah, it's gonna be hard for me to find. But I wish they had the one where it was just continuous. See, he's looking around and he's looking down for something, and then he goes and grabs that. So to me, I think that kind of dispels he's leaving him for a message. So he's looking down. I think he's looking for something to disable the camera.
Yeah, like something to pick up and maybe smash it.
Yeah, either that or as he, then turns and goes and looks at the plants. He decides to use those. And as you can see, there's a lot of leaves on the plants here. And then when you look at the pictures of the what's left of it on the ground, it's shredded.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot smaller than what it seems to have in his hands. There's also some speculation about a potential cell phone in the background. Did you hear that?
I didn't.
So, and I don't know if this has either been confirmed or debunked, but they were saying that as he's putting on the shrub onto the camera, you can see what looks like maybe a potential light source on the right side. Others are saying that it's a piece of shrub that kind of reflects off of the camera. But I haven't really seen much on that.
Well, he has a flashlight in his mouth.
Yeah.
And so I would assume maybe perhaps it could be some sort of reflection of the plant onto the because I don't see anything in his hands there.
They cut off the video so quick.
I know I have the one, but like I said, I redid my computer, and everything is all really weird. It doesn't even show me what any of my stuff is. I'd have to oh, here it is. All right, I think I can find it now. Maybe, perhaps. I'm gonna go through what I have here. Give me 1 second. Let's see if I can. I think I might be able to pull it up. You just got to find the video, because I got the pictures. I don't have the video here.
I might have some footage too, so I'll look as well.
See up there. Yeah, I had it. I just no idea. Oh, here it is. I found it.
Got it.
Yes, sir. All right, so then I'll make this super big. See, right here, he's like I said, he's doing something with the palm of his hand over. Now, at first, I thought maybe he was trying to shield the camera, like from capturing his face. But if he was doing that, he would have had his hand open. Doing this doesn't do that.
Yeah. Now, with that shot right there, before you play it, do you think that he's wearing multiple layers of gloves, or do you think that his hands? I mean, because his hands look large, at least to me, right? And they kind of slightly look swollen. Do you think that he's wearing multiple pairs of gloves, or is it? Am I just making stuff up?
No, he's wearing multiple pairs of gloves. Let me show you something. And I think I know why. Wrong button. Let's remove this. So I got some gloves here. Now, if I were to put on this pair of gloves here, fortunately, I have more than one set. If it don't fit, you must have quit.
That's what they say.
All right, so we're going to do some CSI work right here. So as you can see, there's like almost like a looselessness to it. Now, I got a cloth glove here. And let me put this one on. Then you put the black glove on it over it. And you'll see how it looks almost like that. And second, for those that are watching or listening only on audio, I'm putting on 2 pairs of gloves for everybody. Let's see.
Yeah.
You see how it's different?
Well, yeah. You don't have any space in between those gloves.
Reason you do this, you cut this, there's a lot of sweat that gets left in. So if this cuts, you're going to have sweat. Now you have cloth glove underneath, it's going to capture most of it. So I definitely believe he's wearing 2 pairs of gloves. And I wouldn't be surprised if one of them is like some sort of cloth glove to catch the sweat, so to speak.
That makes sense to me. That makes sense to me. I'm curious what people in the chat think too.
Yeah, let us know. I definitely think it's multiple gloves. I don't know. Let me see. I may have. I'm going to try to put on 2 of these nitrate gloves on. See if it has the same effect if I had just 2 plastic gloves on. I've never done that. But yeah, let us know. But I think it's a cloth glove underneath a regular. This is not easy to do. To put 2 gloves on. And my assumption is with these latex gloves, they're going to make you sweat like crazy. And if he walked the distance there, regardless if it's cold or not,
you're going to sweat, right?
Sweat. So, I mean, maybe it looks, it doesn't look as thick.
That's 2 pairs?
That's 2 pairs.
No, it definitely doesn't look like when you have the cloth glove under it.
Exactly. And so I think that's definitely a cloth glove underneath a latex glove. Yeah, my hand's already sweating, and all I do is put that thing on.
You mentioned something earlier. You mentioned something about him possibly walking up. Do you feel like he was all on foot?
I thought about that. I don't think, well, I mean, that's a good question because it doesn't appear they found a vehicle on video.
No.
Leaving the area. You know what I mean? And she has mobility issues. So it's not like he could walk her out and make her walk, a large amount of distance. Maybe he planned for something, had a wheelchair or something. But I mean, to be walking in the middle of the night with a wheelchair, that's you can get caught.
And no tracks have been discovered, right?
Exactly.
And so when you mentioned that, all I could think of was the cars that have been impounded and taken in for evidence, right? We know that Nancy's car, her Subaru, was impounded. We know that Annie's car has also been taken into evidence. And then I believe that they have that Range Rover that they took in at Culver's. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe all 3 cars are still in evidence.
I think so too. And so what did Annie's car? What kind of car was that? Is that an SUV also?
I want to say it was like a Honda CRV or an HRV, some sort of Honda.
Interesting.
Unless it was a smaller sedan, maybe somebody in the chat can refresh, our memories. But if I'm not mistaken, it was a small size SUV.
So here's one of the things that I guess, and we're going to talk about it, I guess, more tomorrow as well, because this was Steve's idea. I hate to throw out all his ideas before we get him on. But he said that he didn't think that this was that organized. One of the things was that he felt that somebody would have done is they would have taken her car to a somewhere where his car would have been at, and then switched out. And so that he felt that maybe perhaps that wasn't the plan initially to have taken her. But, to me, I thought that as a possibility as well. Maybe the plan wasn't, but then something happens and he feels that he needs to take her, whether it be like she scratched him or something, and she has his DNA on. And so, I don't know. What do you think?
I was really going to ask you what your thoughts were on the whole, burglary gone wrong.
Okay.
And I was really curious to ask, what are your thoughts on the burglary gone wrong? Because that's what's come out in the media, right? There's a belief that it's a robbery gone wrong.
I mean, it could be, you can't disprove that at this point. That maybe perhaps it was a robbery gone wrong.
Or maybe it was a burglary. I'm sorry, burglary gone wrong.
Right. Well, yeah, burglary. Robbery would be like if somebody were to like point a gun at somebody or take something from somebody by force. Burglary, breaking into the home. So burglary gone wrong. It's possible maybe this guy knew who Miss Guthrie was, and thought maybe there would be some valuables given who her daughter was, and entry into the house. Thought it was an easy access. Because of the ruralness of the area, that maybe he could get away with it, and something happens again, a scratch, claw, something, and he feels the need now that he has to take her. I thought about that as a possibility. The only thing that bothers me is the backpack is full when he walks up. So unless he was burglarizing other people's houses and taking things, why is that full? And why would you take a full backpack to a burglary?
For burglary, right? And why would you leave with absolutely nothing and a person?
Yeah. And then a lot of people are asking, like, why did he spend so long in the house? Well, I'm not necessarily certain he spent that much time in the house. I think he needed to make entry into the house. I know that he arrived at the house at a certain time, and we know when he left the house, but we don't necessarily know when it was he made entry into the house. We know he struggled at the front of the door, or at least with the doorbell camera, for a while. I think that 15 minutes later, when he's walking along the side of the house, when the other camera picks him up, that there was movement. I strongly suspect that that's him giving up on the front of the house and moving to the back or to the side. Now, I don't know which way he got in. He still may have taken him a few minutes to figure that out. So we don't know exactly the moment he made entry into the house. But if it was 30 minutes, 25 minutes, that's a significant long time to be in the house.
Well, I know that Pima County has mentioned that there were signs of forced entry, right? But they haven't mentioned whether it was through the front or through the back. And not too long ago, there was drone footage from News Nation where they got footage of the back. And I believe there's a door that connects either right into the house or right into the garage. And it's clean. There's no signs of a forced entry. Doors are shut. No windows are broken. So, I'm curious where this forced entry took place. Was it, at one point, I really thought that maybe this person could have gone through the garage.
Yeah.
And if I'm not going to speculate and say that, it's a family member, but, if there's a potential that this person does know Savannah or Nancy, right? And they're close, who knows if they have a way into their garage.
At this point, 24 days later, 23 days later, I highly doubt it's not that it is the family. I highly doubt it is the family or somebody close like that. Just because those people would be investigated to the fullest at this point. There's some things that have to happen. They have to leave their house. They have to get back. They have to move their vehicle, which has key cycles and things of that nature. which is probably the things that they were looking at. Like, all right, did this vehicle turn on at any point throughout the middle of the night? Did it leave? Is there GPS move? Those type of things. You have the phone activity. Even if he leaves it at home, a lot of people put it on their bed or near them. If that was the situation, is there motion detected at a certain point before this guy is on the camera? Is there motion detected sometime after the camera, after her disappearance, in the early morning hours, those type of things. There's a numerous amount of ways. Plus, then you have the vehicle. Let's just say that they did move the vehicle around that time. She was bleeding. Did they find any blood inside of that vehicle? Those type of things. I don't know about, how much more cooperation or how much more evidence they have. But to me, when it comes to like these guys, once they get their name, once they get their suspect, it's not going to take very long to make an arrest, especially that quickly. So, like, we'll look at, like, for instance, Brian Koberger. They got his name December 19th, and they arrested him December 30th. So 11 days later, after they got his name. And I think 6 days of that was them looking for him because he wasn't in Washington anymore. He traveled back home to Pennsylvania. Once they got his name and they started looking at, all right, well, let's look at the cameras around Pullman. Did he come back in at any point? Boom, there he is. He had to come back home. He had to leave. There he is. What about his phone? Did it ever turn off around that time? Boom, there it is. So all those things, it would be very easy to connect those dots if it was family members, in my opinion.
Yeah, and they did. Didn't they just do? What is it called? The lie detector.
Did they? I know that they had mentioned
they were
polygraphs.
clear. Polygraphs.
They did mention they were cleared. I know that polygraphs were mentioned, that some polygraphs were taken. I don't know who. I don't know if that was the guy with the Range Rover that took a polygraph test. I don't know if that was, Savannah's family that took a polygraph test. I don't know if it was all of them that took a polygraph test. I don't think that has come out.
No, none of it has. None of it has at all. In Savannah's message earlier today, right? She had mentioned something that we hadn't known prior to her message, and that was the confirmation that she was taken from her bed. So that was one of her messages from today.
I'm going to pull that up because I saw the headline. I have been busy today, so I actually haven't heard it. So let's pull that up. I have it pulled up, so let me pull it up here. So she says that she was taken at night from her bed.
I don't think we were able to hear it. I don't know if I heard it on my end or not.
Oh, let me. Yeah, I didn't. My bad, guys. My bad. Let me adjust this real quick. Maybe that's why I kept getting alerts. It's probably people saying, "There's nothing on."
There's nothing on.
I forgot to share the audio.
Hi there. I'm coming on to say it is day 24 since our mom was taken in the dark of night from her bed.
So she said, "Our mom." So I know a lot of people have been trying to say, "Hey, she's not with, we don't see her siblings with her or anything anymore. Maybe there's a division or something." Her saying "our mom" says that they're united to me. What do you think? Oh, you're muted.
Sorry about that. Yeah, so I mean, she's addressing, her as our mom. I don't know. When I saw this video, I was lost. I don't know. This video was really sad, to be honest with you. When I was watching this, I had to watch this like 3 or 4 times back to back, and you know, just watching it now, I'm still like at a loss for words, and not sure how to fully comprehend some of the things that she's actually saying, right? And there's a few things that she says later on too that I'm really questioning, you know, just trying to really interpret.
Mhm. Huh. Let's play it. But yeah, she does also mention that. Let's bring it back just a little bit.
Day 24 since our mom was taken in the dark of night from her bed.
So she's claiming that she was taken from her bed. You know, if that is accurate, then that tells me that I wonder what evidence they have that she was taken from the bed. Maybe there's more blood evidence inside of the house.
So that was a question I was going to ask you, right? With her making that statement that she was taken from her bed at night, I would be under the assumption that, you know, law enforcement or the authorities have given her some sort of additional information that they probably told her to sit on, not to talk about, you know, until they got somewhere in the case. Is that something that, you know, law enforcement would normally do?
Run that by me again.
So, I mean, she mentioned that she was taken in the middle of the night from her bed.
Mhm.
That's information that none of us knew, right? This wasn't even out on any mainstream media. Is it likely that she got this information from law enforcement and they told her, you know, quite early on, they told her not to sit on this, or they told her to sit on this information and not go public about it yet?
It's possible. You know, this also could just be a figure of speech. You know, she was taken in the middle of the night from her bed. But if it is accurate, I wonder, and I think that she would know if there was some sort of evidence of a struggle in the bed. That's the only thing that would lead me to believe them to believe that, or if there is any actual evidence of them of being taken out of the bed, because is that there was some sort of struggle. Maybe that's where the blood started. I'm not sure.
And if this is to be taken as a fact, then that would kind of rule out the fact that, you know, Nancy got out of bed, opened the door, and that's why, you know, there really was no. I mean, they said that there was forced entry though, so you know, there were theories that she did get up out of bed, open the door, and somehow they got in through that way.
Yeah, I mean, there's some theories about that. I don't think so. You know, I think that if you have somebody with mobility issues, she's hearing a ruckus in the middle of the night at the door, she's probably calling. You know,
Yeah.
nobody should be there at 2 o'clock in the morning. Now, one of the things that we know is that there wasn't a subscription to whatever camera source that they had, which is very sad because had they had one, she probably would have seen this guy lurking around in the middle of the night. There could have been a police presence beforehand. You know what I mean?
No, 100%, right? And you would assume that a family that's worth millions of dollars would make the additional whatever $100 a year, you know, payment to have the subscription. But what is so intriguing to me is the FBI's ability, and with the work of Google, to retrieve that footage, right? And they were able to retrieve that footage by just scraping data, piecing it back together, and then pulling photos. And I don't know if everything that they've shared was an actual photo or if it was just a frame from a video clip, right? But there's the assumption that that clip where he's not wearing the backpack was from January 11th, right? So this is roughly about 20 days before she was abducted on February 1st.
Well, that tells me a lot of people are assuming it's January 11th because that's when law enforcement started asking for camera footage from their from neighbors and things of that nature. It was going back to the 11th, and then I think they even moved it back a little bit further. What I think he could have been doing, if that be the case, is testing out, you know, a response, seeing what's going on, going out there, walking around, being on camera, see if there is a subscription, because he's probably aware that if they don't have a subscription and nobody's monitoring the cameras at 1 o'clock in the morning when he's passing by or walking up, they're not going to know he was ever out there. And this is probably somebody also, I would guess, could keep their eye on the place, especially that day, to see if police show up, to see if she called the police saying, hey, there was a masked man who was roaming around the property last night and wanted to make a police report. In order to verify whether or not there was that, he would have had to have stayed there to monitor it the whole day, or done what Brian Koberger did and got on Broadcastify or some other means of listening to police dispatch radio to see if there's ever been a call for possible a burglar in the area of that house. And if there isn't, then he knows
he's safe. Yeah,
that he can go out there and he's not going to get, nothing's going to happen. And I think that could be why doesn't have a gun on him, doesn't have anything on him when he's walking around the first time. If that was the first time, maybe
that makes sense, right? But why just her, right? Why not the other neighbors in the neighborhood, right? Unless this was really possibly a potentially targeted attack.
Oh yeah, no, 100% targeted. I think that whoever did this was well aware of who was in that house, and wanted them. Let's see what else Miss Guthrie says.
And every hour and minute and second and every long night has been agony since then, of worrying about her, fearing for her, aching for her, and most of all, just missing her. We know that millions of you have been praying. So many people have been praying, of every faith and no faith at all, praying for her return. And we feel those prayers. Please keep praying without ceasing. We still believe. We still believe in a miracle. We still believe that she can come home. Hope against hope. As my sister says, we are blowing on the embers of hope. We also know that she may be lost. She may already be gone. She may have already gone home to the Lord that she loves and is dancing in heaven with her mom and her dad and with her beloved brother Pierce and with our daddy. And if this is what is to be, then we will accept it. But we need to know where she is. We need her to come home. For that reason, we are offering a family reward of up to $1 million for any information that leads us to her recovery. All of the information about this reward and the details is in the caption below. You can call the 1-800-TIP line. You can be anonymous if you want. Someone out there knows something that can bring her home. Somebody knows. We are begging you to please come forward now. We also know that we are not alone in our loss. We know there are millions of families that have suffered with this kind of uncertainty. And for that reason today, we also are donating $500,000 to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children for their work in helping families who are coping with loss and actively looking for those who are lost. We are hoping that the attention that has been given to our mom and our family will extend to all the families like ours who are in need and need prayers and need support. So please, if you hear this message, if you've been waiting and you haven't been sure, let this be your sign. So please come forward, tell what you know, and help us bring our beloved mom home so that we can either celebrate a glorious, miraculous homecoming or celebrate the beautiful, brave, and courageous and noble life that she has lived. Please be the light in the dark. Thank you.
Super sad, man. I hadn't watched it. You know, that was I saw the highlight, well, not the highlights. I read some of it about being raised up, and so it's tough.
Yeah, I mean the tone was just remarkably somber. Um, just hearing Savannah quote her sister saying that what did she say? Something about blowing on the embers of hope,
Mhm.
right? And just acknowledges the fact that Nancy, there's a possibility that she could really no longer be with us. And she's dancing in heaven. Um, and then the last part, I wanted to ask you about the last part. Do you think the inclusion of the $500,000 donation to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children comes from a ton of backlash that she's getting?
Like what kind of backlash? I'm not.
I guess there's belief that, because she's a multi-millionaire, family comes from money, that there's a reason why this case has been going on for so many days on media, and it's the only thing that's being talked about. And, people on the internet are saying people go missing every day and they're not getting the attention.
I mean, maybe there's part of that. That would make sense, because of what she said at the end. I hope everybody would get the attention that we got. That happens almost in every case. You'll get, some folks who get upset because one case went high profile, and all of them should get as much attention as possible. 100%. If there's somebody that's missing, answers needed, then those questions should be raised. I don't know if she felt that she had to because of the attention that she's gotten of her family. I know there's some conspiracy theories that are out there. I think maybe because of like Epstein and files and all this other stuff that's been going on, maybe perhaps that had something to do with this. Sending money there could be, if I was a conspiracy theorist, I would say, well, maybe she's saying, hey, we're not going to back down from searching for exploited and missing children, even if you come at me like this. But I don't necessarily think that's there. I think it's probably more in line with what you're saying, that the backlash, if it exists, I can't believe people are doing that.
Same, right? And the fact that, it's very generous of her to also include a donation to it, right? I mean, because we know she doesn't have to.
Yeah.
But for her to make that kind generous donation, also tells us that she's listening too, right? And I mean, I thank her for also doing that. That was a really kind gesture that she didn't have to do.
That's wild. Yeah, I see Heather coming in here saying that they are in this gross. People that are blaming her family. Like, I don't understand why people do that. Like, people just need to move on. If you're that type of person, maybe you shouldn't be looking at true crime stuff. You know what I mean? Go watch sports or something. Now with her, just she looks like she's in bad shape. Savannah, she's probably been worried, sick. I couldn't imagine what she's going through and what she's thinking. Like, you see the images of this guy, right? And I'll pull it back up real quick. You see the images of this dude that's walking up, and he's been there. He's dressed in a mask. I don't know what his intentions are, but mom is gone. And he's been there multiple times. I mean, that one image that he had, that they have of him, that wasn't that night without the gun. I mean, that hood, the way it looked, it was almost remind me of the Zodiac, and the hood that he had. He had an insignia and things of that nature on or some symbol on his. But again, I mean, this is, you have an elderly person who just doesn't make any sense why this person would attack.
And I'm a nurse by profession, right? So one of the things I do is care for people, and a lot of the population that I serve is a geriatric community too. And just to understand how fragile a life can be at the age of 84, right? I was mentioning on one of my lives before is that all I could think about is hoping that whoever has her and if that she's still alive is I'm just hoping and praying that she just has a place to comfortably sleep and that they're feeding her, right? Because if they're not doing either of the two, then to me the quality of life after 24 days of just pure terror and torture, it's hard to believe that she's still alive at this point. So I just hope they're at least feeding her and giving her just a space that she can lay her head down at night. And I hope that they really think about it and bring her home.
Me too. I do too, man. This thing is incredibly sad. You know, I would have never thought that this would have come down to this. When she went missing, I didn't know what to think. But somebody kidnapping her like this in the middle of the night, dressed like that, was probably the last thing on my mind. And now we're in a situation where, let's pull this up. It doesn't get any better. It don't get any better. Let me pull up this real quick. Gotta find it real quick. Where is it? So, according to Michael Reese, DNA samples recovered from inside of Nancy Guthrie's home mainly came back to people who had a reason to be there. According to two federal law enforcement sources, only one unknown DNA sample yielded only a partial profile that could not be checked against the FBI's coded database of other offenders. Now, it depends what type of DNA this is. Because if this is just like touch DNA, now I know people are going to say, Daniel, Brian Koberger, you were saying he's gone for it, blah, blah, blah. It was just touch DNA. It depends on where it's at, on what it's on. If this guy left behind something, he had a full backpack. He took some of the stuff out and then put everything back in, and there's some sort of DNA on that, I would be inclined to say, hey, there's a good possibility that that's something you need to look at. If it was just like on something and it's touch DNA, I mean, that could be from a number of places. You know what I mean? And so
they were stating that it's mixed DNA, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, so what type of evidence do you believe that they could have collected?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of things. If let's just say Miss Guthrie touched something on her way out. She went to, I think they went to the restaurant, right? So let's just say the waiter came by, touched her on the shoulder, touched her hand or something, and then she now has that DNA on her body, on her person, and she goes home and, just kind of brushes up against something. Or during the attack, she bleeds, that touch DNA, the blood goes over that touch DNA from the waiter, and now it's mixed together. I mean, there's just so many things that could happen there. If it's touch DNA now, if it's blood, mixed in with blood, that's a different story. If it's like, something else that's degraded, that's like saliva mixed in with something else, it's a different story. But if it's like touch DNA, given the fact that she had just gone out to somewhere, I mean, it could be something, it may not be, and if it's not, if this guy didn't leave anything behind, which, I mean, it's not like he's, going into a house where he's going to be going up against somebody who's going to fight him back. He's going to be in a situation that's going to be more favorable for him to not leave DNA.
Is there a possibility that she was assaulted?
I mean, the blood is probably a good indication that she was. Now, she was in bad shape, right? I mean, she had some medical issues. There was some images of her with like the bandages on her arm and bruises. Did she bleed easily? Like based on like, I guess,
you would
medication?
Oh yeah, absolutely. With the blood thinners that she was taking, well, if she was taking blood thinners, because I don't think that even has been confirmed. But all we do know is that she's on pacemaker, right? But the assumption is because she does have a pacemaker, she's on blood thinners, and because of that, yes, any small nick, skin tear, nosebleed, they're gonna bleed, right? They may not essentially bleed out, but you're gonna have a hard time stopping whatever's bleeding. So whether it is a nosebleed or a skin tear, there's gonna be a little bit of difficulty, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I get that. And one of the things that it looks like for me when I look at the blood on the ground, it appears that that blood, some of it was from close range. I think she was close to the ground at some point, and I think she coughed or sneezed because there's like a cluster of mist sprayed onto the ground, and it's really, really close, compact. Now, if you were to go out and shoot like for instance, birdshot, and you're close to something, you're going to get that cluster real close. Further you're away, that cluster spreads apart. Same thing with this mist. And so the fact that it was so close together tells me that she was fairly close to the ground when that happened.
I agree.
And so if it's a cough, like, I mean, again, we don't know her medical history or anything like that, but could a person be, I mean, could it have been something not from an injury due to the assailant? Could it have been like a cough, like from an illness?
I mean, we don't know if she had any current illnesses at the time, right? But we do know that she was able to get up, take an Uber out,
That's
right? Go play mahjong with Annie. So I mean, if she was ill and she was coughing up blood, which is always a possibility, but I don't think she may have had one just because of her activities the day before or that night.
Sense. That's true. And so then that would lead us to believe one of a few things, or that would a couple of things could be logical that can be deduced. Either she was bleeding from above and it was dripping down and she coughed with blood, or she had some sort of internal issue, maybe even inside of her mouth.
I think, there's always a possibility, and I don't want to speculate and put any theories out there, but I mean, obviously there is blood, so there was some injury, and it is confirmed to be hers, right? If she was roughed up, and anybody at that age with the skin condition that they have, being on all of these medications, any small injury is going to be considered. That, I mean, to me, it's not a crazy amount of blood, but that's a lot of blood.
Yeah, and it's almost, to me, when I look at it, I don't see like right here maybe a little bit of directionality right there, like somebody moving as they're bleeding. But this is almost like if she was there on the ground, and kind of like if she was coughing, like he was waiting for her to stop coughing.
With all of these tiny little blood drops, I mean, I can't help but think that she may have coughed it up. Maybe she may have been, hit in the mouth with, we do know that he has a pistol, right? So he could have pistol whipped her, and I don't know. Somebody in the comments said that she was carried face down. What was it? She was punched in the stomach.
If she was punched in the stomach, I mean, maybe, but the only thing that I can think of is that as they walked out, she yelled, right? And then he tried to silence her. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that's possible. But look at that thing right here. That's on top of the blood.
That's on top of it after the fact. Wow.
I don't know. Maybe the wind blew that or something. I don't know. That's on top. That's on top. That's on top.
Is this an image from video that was taken?
No, I think this is the image from here, and then it was just kind of zoomed in. It may have been from an image, the video. And so you see, these are the flowers that are on the ground. The stems look chewed up on some of them, not on all of them. Maybe he had been putting flowers in. That's creepy. What is he looking at over here? Because remember, he looks down here first. There's a pot. There's some stuff there, but he doesn't stay very long.
On that side, yeah.
Yeah, he just kind of looks down and then turns around and goes and gets the plants. And like, look at where the blood is. So, door open, had to have come this way. So it's not like directly out, not straight. It's to the right. So, good chance that she. This is just my speculation. They opened the door, yelled, hit down here. That way. Like, maybe.
I mean, that would be a perfect direction as soon as the doors open, right? Door swings open, they take a step out.
If she's on the ground and she does this, then she's probably possibly still partially inside the house. Unless she's all the way out, she screams and she falls back. Because that's the only thing that makes sense to me is that, you know, he's walking around. If there's no blood inside the house, let's just say there's no blood inside the house, but you have this outside of the house. You know, did she scream? Did he hit her? And then just kind of stand over her? Maybe say something like, "You scream again, I'm going to do something worse," blah, blah, blah. Take her from there.
Do you think the perp acted alone?
I don't know. Part of me says no, but the fact that nobody's talked about this leads me to believe there's less people. And so this here looks like a shoe print, by the way, part of a shoe.
I think he stepped in it.
Yeah, but I think that in some ways, yes. Now, a lot of people are saying that he was inside the house for a long period of time. What if he
41
wasn't?
minutes, yeah.
Now, what if he wasn't? What if he got there, he disabled the camera, goes around the back, figures out a way to get in, leaves, comes back with the vehicle because the camera's no longer there, and then makes entry?
That's totally possible. And with the footage that we do have that the FBI provided us, there's, if I'm not, can you play one of those videos again? I'm curious to see if they have the Nest logo on there.
Yeah.
Because if it does have the Nest logo on there, I'm curious as to why there's no date and timestamp also. Because normally any camera footage like that, it normally has the date and the time that it was recorded.
Nest on the top right.
So it has the logo on there. So I'm curious if this video, where's the timestamp?
Good question.
I mean, they play, and I don't know if Google placed the logo there after the fact or if it was already embedded within this video, but clearly the logo's there, but time and date, nothing.
Maybe law enforcement removed it.
I'm also curious too that if that doorbell was pried off of where it was at the mount, I'm assuming that Nest cameras run off of a battery, right? So if they're able to scrape this video, how much more video does the FBI have, and are we going to see more? So,
you know what? I have a ring. I don't think it's run off a battery. I don't know how that happened. Maybe it is.
I mean, I have a doorbell camera, and I have to replace batteries on that, like, I don't know, every couple months.
Really? Yeah, I don't know if I've ever had to replace the ring. I don't know. My wife did it.
I mean,
Well, how does that work?
there's a possibility that it was wired, right?
Yeah.
And if it's wired, I'm assuming the power shuts off the moment it's pried off of the mount. But if it is battery operated, who knows if it's still recording?
Yeah.
And then is there a possibility that this guy is coming up to pry the camera off of the mount after the fact? Or is this before he enters the home? Because I don't know. We don't really know so much of the timeline, right? We're given times, but none of it kind of indicates anything about these photos or videos that we have.
Yeah. No, you're right. Steve from True Crime Web, who's going to be on the show tomorrow night, brings up an interesting point. Says it's not just a blood pattern seen. We have other blood patterns missing you normally see. When someone is injured and have full use of hands that is close to the ground, hand transfers. There's none of that. So I don't know. He's right. There isn't any like hand transfer. The only thing we see of any type of transfer of anything is
Whatever
this.
Well, yeah.
And that's possibly a shoe. Where is the hand transfer? Where's the, like, if she's bleeding from somewhere, grabbing the wound and then putting her hand back to get off the ground?
There isn't one. I don't see one.
So what does this mean? That means either she fell to the ground very quickly and then he picked her up. But this seems like she was sitting there for a minute.
I've seen a few people in the chat saying that she was picked up and thrown over his shoulders.
Yeah, but see, I had wondered about that too. However, I think that the spray is a little bit too far away.
And 150 pounds of dead weight, just to, I mean, some people can do it, right? But 150 pounds of dead weight, it's not that easy.
Steve, what about, I don't think this is it, but could this be arterial spray? I don't think so. But like if she was bleeding from her wrist or something and it was just dripping, I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think that's what it is. Somebody's saying maybe she was fainted and carried out. It's possible.
Unconscious.
This case is so crazy, man. It's a lot of stuff. The zip ties and could not use hands and get. That's interesting. So was she possibly tied up, zip tied? I mean, there was a backpack full of stuff. I think it's possible.
People were saying that in the pockets in that video, you can see what looks like potential zip ties. And then in the other pocket, I think other people have noticed that what looks like to be the antenna of a walkie-talkie.
I gotta look at it first. It's not something I've noticed.
Right there. And so as he turns and the pocket's exposed.
Move my, I don't know why this never happened before with all those numbers that we put out. Let's see. Well, if he did have a radio, again, like I mentioned before, he the last couple of times that he was there, he definitely was listening out. But backpack full to the brim. I can't tell you if he has anything in it. It's too grainy. I'd have to blow it up and look at it bigger, but I don't know.
Does he look in a certain direction before he turns back to walk up the porch? No to arterial spray.
Yeah, no to arterial spray. Let's see each bump of a heart. And that's why we have the expert in the building.
Yo,
And he'll be on the show tomorrow, guys.
and that step that he took was just awkward. See, he looked behind him.
I don't know why law enforcement cut it too. He's looking behind him.
There's the light.
What he's looking at, I have no idea. But maybe he's looking at a partner. Maybe a vehicle passed by, or he saw something in the distance that caught his eye. A few things that could have happened there.
Yeah, I just wish law enforcement, FBI would have just included a timestamp and a date and time.
Well, in this one, I mean, if this is what they said it was, all we know is like at 140 something, it was 141 is when it's disconnected. So we can assume this was shortly before.
So they're saying there's a walkie-talkie in his pocket.
Could be. Where is the car? I have no idea. That's a good question. You know, it don't seem like law enforcement have an idea about the car either. And, you know, the one thing that I guess can kind of bother me a little bit about this is that, let's just say they get the mixed DNA, they sent it out to Othram. Right? We're all familiar with Othram because of the Brian Kilbert case. And Othram's able to separate the DNA and get enough DNA to do the IgG. And this guy gets arrested. This isn't like the DNA in the Brian Kilbert case, to my knowledge. Now, maybe they got more. You know, they didn't tell us they had Brian Kilbert's DNA before they arrested him. They didn't say that we had the knife sheath, we had DNA on the knife sheath. They didn't say any of those things. Which, you know, in this case, they bring it up that they have DNA. Maybe they're expecting somebody to make a move, maybe somebody not. I don't know. But if they do and they're able to get that into coded, I mean, not coded, into an IgG and they're able to capture this guy, the only thing that concerns me is that, you know, Brian Koberger, with, you know, how he was fighting the DNA and stuff, in that scenario, it was just his. It was single source thing. It's not the case here. I think they might have a little bit more of a leg to stand on instead of goes to trial. So we'll see what happens. You know, but this guy took a lot of precautions. Do you think he's a professional?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I also don't know if he's working alone. I feel like maybe he's a runner for somebody else.
Well, there was these two kids that they kidnapped somebody on for somebody else that they met online on Signal or something like that. That recently happened.
I think I heard a little bit about that.
Yeah, I wonder. You know, a lot of people wondering if maybe this is something similar.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
Was there crypto involved with that one too?
I think there was.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There was crypto involved, and you know, that would be scary. You know, people just doing this for a random amount of money. You know what I mean? Let's see. If she had been roughed up and coughed up blood, can't the blood be tested to know if it came from her stomach, possibly? Yeah, you'd be able to tell if there's mucus in it and things of that nature, 100%, and or acid or whatever. So law enforcement should know what it's from. Let's see. But it's, I don't know. I don't think this is something that is cartel related. I don't think this is something. No. Yeah, no, this ain't cartel related. I don't think this is. I'm really struggling with the burglary gone wrong with the full backpack and stuff. I'm really leaning towards this guy had some sort of like possible like infatuation with Savannah, and maybe
just knowing that this is his, that photo, was taken a separate night, it makes it hard to believe the burglary gone wrong, right? This was definitely something that was premeditated. They came
agree.
back in time. I'm curious where Savannah and maybe the family were on January 11th. Why family decided to come out that night? Was she home? What events she was doing on that day?
Right.
And I'm also curious, if those two photos were taken roughly around the same time.
I would assume so. I would assume so. I think that was probably to see the reaction, see if they're going to be law enforcement. Did she have, were they monitoring the cameras, those type of things? Man, well, we're getting a little bit long in the tooth. I want to thank you, Joe, for joining us. Is there anything else you want to add?
I think we talked about almost everything today. Everything, at least that came out today, right? We're on day 24. Tomorrow's day 25, and it's going to be another circus day tomorrow.
I'm sure it is. And tomorrow night, guys, I'm going to have Steve from True Crime Web. We saw a little bit of him on the comment section. I have so many questions for him, from his expertise as a former CSI. He'll be on tomorrow. Joe, can you tell everybody where they can find you?
Yeah, if you guys want to follow me, I'm on Instagram, FloJoe, FLOJOE. I'm also on YouTube. I do lives. I try to do lives at least 3 times a week. You can find me at FloJoe TV, FLOJOE TV.
Thank you. And I have your link in the description. It's in the comment section. I mean, not the comment section. It's in the description, so you can just go in there and click there. Please go follow him. Let's get his subscribers up. We got a couple of super chats that we're going to get to. We have the boss, Bish 3176, saying amazing content, BT and Flow Joe. Thank you. We have Share Bear being the newest member. Thank you, Share Bear. Newest member for Flow Joe, Basement Jesus. And Coco Mom gives 5 Flow Joe memberships. And Eve comes in with her 10-month membership. And Birdie comes in with their 8-month membership as well. Guys, I'm going to be back on tomorrow night. For our members, I'll be doing a members-only show this weekend. And so I know I haven't done one in a minute because of my injury and everything else that I've been dealing with. I'm feeling a little bit better. And, I'm on some stronger medication right now. I think it's helping me. And so I'll be able to come back on Sunday. I'm looking probably at Sunday to do the members only, guys. But I'll be back on tomorrow night, guys. You guys have a great night. Please go follow FloJoe TV. For Joe, I'm Daniel. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace out, y'all.
Thank you, Daniel.